Is there an empty? There's no empty.
This is for the keynote presentations for the slide share later. So
We have one of the
Eva
keynotes.
Shuba.
This is Eva. This is Rosa. Sorry, I didn't introduce you. Yeah.
Rosa.
You're from Eden, okay.
Yes, yes.
So will you take care of Rosa?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm one of the speakers. I have a presentation, two presentation that connects to a PowerPoint with a slideshow. And I have problems with the music always, so I'd like to test it if you don't mind.
Okay, then we might need local people because
Usually
I'm not the
I
sound
know
person.
how to do that.
Oh, okay.
It's just necessary to connect
Then
and check.
let me try. I will put this on the desktop.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will put this on the desktop and you can run it from the desktop if that's okay for you.
Sure.
Especially
I have sound in the presentation.
Come up. How do you know? Is it blinking? Let me see.
It's not there.
No.
I tried.
Maybe the next one? There you go. Okay. Takes a while. In the same? No. Okay.
Okay, and then this one is one.
I think just slideshow. Oh, okay.
Okay, and this one is okay. The other one is the one with
And
the
it has
problem.
sound.
This one doesn't have sound.
Oh, okay, but I think the computer has to be connected to the sound booth.
It is. It is. This one is connecting to the sound booth.
Rosie, ez megy oda? Hang. És itt is hallatszik? Ha innen videót játszik le, az hallatszik itt is? Okay, let's test it. Okay, it works. That's you? Okay. Maybe it's a bit loud.
I already put it a little bit down.
Okay, great.
Can you put the sound a little bit lower?
It's
Maybe
he's the
here.
streaming guy.
Okay.
There's the live stream and the sound.
I'll put it here. I'll do it here.
Yeah. Oh,
Let me try it
that's
again.
fine. That's good. Okay. Great. Okay. Great.
A little bit.
But I will be sitting there.
Perfect.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay.
Do you need this?
No.
You want to leave it in?
Maybe you have to close PowerPoint for the computer to eject properly. Oh, no. That's okay. That's not mine. I thought it was mine. Just ejected, so no problem. Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, I don't speak Greek. Hello. Oh, okay. Yes. Did you get the register? Oh, very good. Mr. Garofalakis. Yes. We put on I'm sorry. Talking to the Mr. Samson. Nice to meet you. I'm Eva Shuba. I assume that was the one. Eden 2015. That's all. Okay. There you go.
Βαρέθηκα Γιάννη, δεν έχει, ας πούμε από ένα σημείο και μετά δεν είχα τι να κάνω. Δηλαδή τώρα εντάξει. Nice music. So that's the one. Thank you.
You want to
Yes, we can start, I think. Ναι. Ο κύριος Γκλαβάς, ο Αντώνιο και η κυρία Αρμανίκη. Αυτοί είναι οι τρεις που θα χαιρετήσουν τώρα και μετά ξεκινάμε οι ομιλητές.
Εδώ, στο χώρο.
Ναι, εδώ.
Α, δεν θέλουμε μικρόφωνο. Φαντάζομαι να το κρύψω εδώ. Μην είμαστε πίσω. Check.
Barcelonában is gond volt.
És ennyi a leállás.
Csak kieszkeljem?
Hát
amikor elkezd beszélni,
igen.
Antonio, vagy mindegyiknél? És amikor... De utána meg amikor befejezték, akkor meg már a beszédeket kell kirakni, de akkor
Igen,
most már
az
leállítottad,
itt a
nem nézem
második.
már
Jó,
megkapcsolva.
oké.
De maradj.
Ez a conference welcome, és a következő slide a presentations. Csak loopolva van.
Igen, és nézd. És akkor
Ezek a keynote-ok. A Franz Bogner saját gépéről fog, majd elküldi.
Saját gépéről?
Igen, mert animáció van, ami nem működik.
És akkor azt ők, itt lesz a Manosz és átdumpossa.
Igen, majd most szólok neki.
Jó, és a session display meg itt
Ez
van.
a session display, igen.
És a többi napra nincs meg még?
De, az is fenn van, ott van egymás fölött. Csak nem tudom, hogy mennyire van sorrendben.
Jó, és ha kétszer elkezdtétek, akkor elkezdi, nem?
From beginning.
So I think we can start. It's a really great pleasure after 4 years to welcome again the Eden Conference, the Open Classroom Eden Conference here in Athens, in our school. I have to say that this conference was organized a long time ago, and we had experienced really a shock with Ildigo when in the middle of August we had to decide if we are going on with this conference due to the announcement of the national elections. But let's say we usually taking these challenges, so we took also this one, and we decided to go on and proceed, because elections are coming and go, but there are, as you will see, this conference is organized in a very specific and a very, let's say, crucial moment for all the activities that we are organizing. From our point of view, it's a milestone. Very big initiatives are approaching to the end, and new ideas are coming to, let's say, to offer a vision for the future. The previous conference took place here 4 years ago. Was sending the message that we have to take the opportunity from the crisis and start from the roots, let's say, developing new structures and focusing on the organization of the schools as autonomous learning organizations. Many people will say that maybe Greece has lost this opportunity, has missed this opportunity, but I'm convinced that the outcomes and the different the situation is quite different. So we have tried a lot to take the most out of this crisis, and we have tried a lot to improve education in our schools, in our countries. So with this short introduction, I would like to say that it is very important the Ministry, the Institute of Educational Policy and the local educational authorities to support these European initiatives. And all these years we had this support with us. So it is really a great pleasure to welcome the President of the Institute of Educational Policy in Greece, Mr. Sotiris Glavas, to give the opening of the conference.
Dear colleagues, I would like to welcome you in Athens, Greece, on occasion of the three-day International Conference Open Classroom, which will focus on school innovation and development of school communities as autonomous centers of learning and training. This conference will address the needs and necessities in search for innovation in school education. The Institute of Educational Policy fully supports the implementation efforts towards innovation in school education. This will be achieved through its involvement and support for the implementation and thematically significant activities and workshops in the framework of the Open Discovery Space and Inspiring Science Education projects, which are two of the ever largest European confounding educational networking initiatives. Some of the innovative educational activities will be presented in detail during the first 2 days of the conference. As far as we are concerned, it is of vital importance to find ways to harmonize such initiatives with the current educational reform efforts. In this way, we believe that we will highly improve the educational process concerning the school teachers who are the main participants. It is a fact that school teachers are constantly interested to promote innovation in our educational institutions, specifically with integration of ICT, information and communication technology. Many teachers are qualified and possess and necessary competencies for the pedagogic use of ICT. Moreover, they are in the position to use the tools of ICT through the European project Open Discovery Space and the open sources of educational researches, and to create digital communities which can work as carriers of innovation in the educational process. Communities of practitioners at European level have proven to be dynamic solutions for exchanging good practices and for peer support, as shown by the massive engagement of teachers in large-scale initiatives like Open Discovery Space and Inspiring Science Education. The Institute of Educational Policy is following very closely this project and explore ways to improve the existing networks and to create new ones to sustain the introduction of innovation in school settings by providing effective support to teachers and school headmasters. Consequently, we can ensure that large communities of practice will benefit from professional development through online resources and peer learning. I wish you all the best to your conference. Thank you.
As I mentioned, during the implementation of these large-scale initiatives, as Mr. Glavas said, Open Discovery Space and Inspiring Science Education, we had the opportunity to cooperate a lot with the local educational office, and we had significant support from the head of the Chancellor's office in the area of East Attica, where our school is located. So I would like to ask Ellinogermaniki to give a short note on this.
Thank you. Μπορώ να μιλήσω ελληνικά. Νομίζω δεν είναι... Η εμπειρία η δικιά μου δεν είναι μεγάλη πάνω στο ODS, στο Open Discovery Space. Ήθελα λίγο να αναφερθώ στη δεκαετία του 80, τότε που διοριστήκαμε κάποιοι, εγώ είχα διοριστεί μαζί με άλλους συναδέλφους και διδάσκαμε στα δημόσια σχολεία της δευτεροβάθμιας εκπαίδευσης. Τότε το να κάνεις το μάθημά σου και να έχεις επάρκεια στη διδασκαλία σου έφταναν οι σπουδές που είχες κάνει στο πανεπιστήμιο και ακόμη κάποιες επιμορφώσεις που έκανες και αυτές με το σταγονόμετρο και άντε και κάποια βιβλία που διάβαζες σε διεθνή βιβλιογραφία. Όμως προϊόντος του χρόνου τα πράγματα άλλαξαν, η κοινωνία άλλαξε.
But as years went by, this has changed, and now many issues in society are linked with education, and young people need to have the skills and manage the skills in order to address different issues. And the curriculum as such is not enough to cover all these needs. With the explosion of technologies and with many European projects going on, teachers started to participate more and more in distance learning, in trainings, and they started sharing experiences with their colleagues. This is very important because we have seen that many educators have joined in this procedure. I believe that distance learning of educators is even more important since visiting other countries requires a lot of time, a lot of effort, and therefore distance learning can be much more practical. In this sense, I would like to share an experience of mine with regard to ODS. I would like to thank Mr. Sotiriou that this summer we carried out a competition for the best educative scenario. It was in ancient Olympia that we met, and this was a very demanding schedule we had, 8 hours per day. However, this experience was worth it. All the educators that participated were willing to learn, and therefore at the end of this summer school we were able to deliver all the outcomes that had been planned for. And I think that on Monday you will have the chance to hear a presentation on these outcomes, which means that educators are open to follow such initiatives as long as they have the opportunity to do so. We have teachers, educators who lack even the basic skills in technology. Therefore, if we want to promote these tendencies, if we want to enlarge these communities, we need to give them the opportunity to acquire these skills. And if I may, I would like to say to Mr. Glavas that educators, teachers of physical education, to a large extent, have not fulfilled the first and the second level. I think that the Institute of Educational Policy should look into this because the teachers should fulfill those basic requirements, those basic courses in order to be able to participate in further initiatives. This has been my experience that I wanted to share with you. It is a great pleasure for me to be here, and I would like to thank Ellinogermaniki Agogi, which is always very open to provide any assistance that I need. Right now, we are running a training course regarding new technologies. Thank you.
I would like to the president of Eden to open the scientific program of the conference. Antonio, you have the floor.
Thank you, Sophocles. Distinguished guests, dear colleagues, it is actually a great pleasure for me, on behalf of the EDEN, the European Distance and E-Learning Network, to be present here in Athens at Ellinogermaniki Agogi. Once again, in this case, to participate in the opening of the conference. Actually, as you know, EDEN is the largest network in Europe that gathers the community of open distance and e-learning. And so we see ourselves as a network and also as a community, an open community. In that sense, it's also, as Sophocles has already pointed out, it has been quite an important aspect for us, the connection with the teacher community and with schools. And for that purpose, we hold ever since 20 years, ever since 1995, an open classroom conference, which this year will be a special one because we're going to start in this conference a new format for this open classroom conference. So this is a special and historical occasion, and we're very happy also to be able to combine the Open Classroom Conference with the conference of the ODS project, the final conference of the ODS project. In fact, this was probably one of the largest projects in Europe in terms of schools, the school system, and the support to the school system and the innovation of the school system. And of course, as you know, most importantly, nowadays that we have produced so many resources and are witnessing to so many innovations being developed in the school system, it's important to embed these innovations in the practices and moreover in the institutional culture of the schools. So this is quite an important aspect that we combine with the ODS, the Open Discovery Space Conference, the Open Classroom with the Open Space Conference, Open Discovery Space Conference, and at the same time we've selected as a theme for this conference exactly transforming schools into innovative learning organizations. So open education is transformative, open educational practices are transformative and are transforming organizations and practices into innovative practices, educational practice into innovative practices, and it's important that we now take also an holistic approach to this and to consider the school as a learning system itself and a learning organization. As I've just noted, the Open Classroom Conference was first initiated in 1995, so this year we're completing 20 years. Actually, this initiative was very much connected with Nikitas Kastis, so there was a Greek at the start of this initiative, and it's quite an honor and a pleasure for us to return to Greece once again, and to Ellinogermaniki Agogi, which has been quite a very solid and important partner in this initiative, and being able to find this so many teachers present. There are over 230 registered already, which is quite an important aspect for us. And this is what actually is important for us, is that we engage with you to change the culture of our organizations. So I won't keep you much longer because you want to hear the wonderful keynotes that we have. You'll already have the chance of seeing in the program that it's quite a full and intensive and rich program. So I do hope that you'll enjoy it and wish you all a very nice conference. Thank you very much.
So, as Antonio said, it's 20 years since the organization of the first Open Classroom Conference. So we would like, as Ellinogermaniki Agogi, to take this opportunity and give a small award to the person who has contributed to the introduction of school innovation in the Greek educational system. So it is really my pleasure to give a small award to Dr. Nikitas Kastis for all his
Καλησπέρα σε όλους.
Good evening, everybody.
Because I have to go 20 years back in '95 in Oslo when we started this, and to see that I'm experiencing a rather effective succession generation here. Sorry, it's. I want to say that I owe this to Ellinoger, that he started the Open Classroom, a great Norwegian, and of course to the former presidents of Eden, Valerio Grementieri, to Erwin Wagner and Inge Bobo. I owe them this honor. I cannot, it's difficult to come to my mind all these people that have contributed to this continuous effort to innovate in a system which is, we know very well, rather self-referential. School education across the world is a system that wants to prevail the values, and it is by nature difficult to change. So we have tried, I think, with certain success. Europe is driving the state of the art in this area, I'm pretty sure. Though it's not driving the technology agenda, but it is driving the innovation, school innovation agenda across the world. And I'm really happy that, as Sophocles said before, when we start to talk about the openness in school education system with this open classroom concept, we were looking rather forward, I would say, when we were saying since that time that it is not the technology idiot, it is something else. And by the years, it is becoming more and more evident that we are not talking about here just changing the didactics with the technology of learning, but speaking of a paradigm of change the role of school education in the societies. of the 21st century, and this openness agenda is going to drive us in the next 20 years, I'm pretty sure. And I'm really happy that Eden is in the frontier of this openness agenda. Again, thank you very much for this. I would like to thank Ellinogermaniki and Stavros and Sophocles for their kind thought. And I'm deeply touched. I'm really honored. Thank you.
So, as Adonio mentioned, we have tried to design and create a holistic approach towards the foreseen changes in the school system. So, in our let's say panel of keynotes, we are trying to cover all these areas. We have Professor Samson from University of Piraeus describing the school analytics and the metrics that are being developed. Let's say it's the research component in this field. Professor Garoufalakis from CTI and University of Patras is going to describe to us the necessary skills for the teachers operating in this new setting. Professor Bogner is going to speak for the value of open content, focusing on the use of green resources. And at the end of this session, we will try to emphasize on the power of digital communities of teachers and demonstrate how we are able to develop global networks as the Galileo Teacher Training Program. The initiator of this activity, Rosa Doran, is with us. So I will give the floor first to our teacher and friend and driver of many of these innovations in school settings, Professor Dimitrios Samson, who is transferring his expertise down under soon, and we hope in the next, let's say, years, we will have the opportunity again to exchange opportunities in conferences, in projects, and similar activities. Thank you very much for being here with us.
Thank you, Sophocles. This is really a touching moment for me as well, because I think that I'm probably the other person who has been to the second Open Classroom conference that Nikitas organized back in 1996, I think, 7 in Crete. I even have the booklet and I remember that you had distributed a nice mouse pad. We don't use mouse pad nowadays, but I still have this, and now that I'm packing my stuff, I found it also with a list of participants. So that was, in fact, the first time that I presented in an international conference work on educational technology. Okay, so I'm also happy to see that Ellinogermaniki Agogi has recognized your contribution in this field, and I appreciate this from my perspective. I'm Dimitris Samson. I have been an academic here in Greece for the past years, and from October I'm moving to Australia as a research professor with the School of Education at Curtin University, which is at Perth, at western part of Australia. And what I will try to share with you is my research agenda program that I will use as a baseline for my 5-year research down under, as Sophocles mentioned. And this is where I'm going to build my future research activities, of course, based on the 20 years experience that I have gained here in Europe. So, and the topic that I would like to discuss with you, I have structured it like that. I think that there is a great need. The need is to recognize, first of all, that what is actually missing in many schools is leadership and the opportunity to apply leadership. And what I'm saying is that we leadership in schools as learning organizations, as people have mentioned before me, it's not really a very trivial thing, and it's a complex matter, and I think that there is a real demand for supporting with technology what we call school complexity leadership. That's the need. So the challenge, in my view, is how we can actually build smart, data-driven, educational leadership decision support frameworks and systems, because in my view this is really a top priority if we're going to address the real challenge, which is having a transformative power with technology in education. And at the end, of course, I will discuss a little bit of how research can help with building such solutions. So, many people talk about the school of the future. I think that at the core of this discussion, there is a real dilemma. And the dilemma, I think, is if schools will remain or treated as what I call geographically distributed hubs that deliver locally the centrally designed state curriculum as a sum of isolated teacher-led classrooms, which are basically black boxes. We don't really know what's happening there, okay? Preparing students for a national final exam, and this is the reality, I'm afraid, in most parts of the world, or if they're going to be upgraded and have the opportunity to be upgraded as accredited at different levels, not all the schools are the same, or they have the capacity to be the same, autonomous educational organizations that they compete. I know that educators, they don't like this word, okay, but they compete for providing better educational services to the society at large, not only to their students, which means that they actually provide and they are accountable for much more than the final grade of their students. They are also accountable, for example, for their citizenship skills and commitment. So, having this in mind as the core dilemma for the school of the future, the next question is, are digital technologies an enabler for large-scale school education reforms? Many people talk about it. Many people think that technology is the magical thing who can solve this problem, and if we introduce technology in schools, that would automatically change and transform the way that we teach, learn, assess our students and everything. I think that experience is that we have lots of large-scale investments in digital technologies, in infrastructure, basically purchasing and installing technologies in schools. We have lots of sporadic and isolated efforts from individual teachers to innovate through reflective practice using technology in their school, but only sporadic and isolated. And yet, I think that we have only an opportunistic educational added value and transformative impact at school education. And by opportunistic, I mean that it only happens very locally in places where initiatives exist, but it's not taking a sort of permanent change, momentum, and capacity. Okay? And probably it's now time to think, why is it so? In my view, this is so because schools are social complex adaptive systems, and we fail to actually see that. Schools are comprising from a wide range of agents: the students, the teachers, the administrators, the leaders, the parents, the policies, the infrastructure, the budgets they have, and all these things, they coexist, they interplay, and they constantly evolve, okay, at different layers of this system, the school, influenced by the actions of each other agent. So as such, schools as organizational entities, they require an holistic, and you mentioned that, reconceptualization from their stereotypical and monolithic consideration that every school is or should be the same, and I think that this rings some bells here in this part of the world, and actually every school should or be the same and controlled centrally by the governments. And I think that that's a very narrow and anti-progressive view of what schools are in modern societies. So with that in mind, I would like to be a little bit more explicit. I think that there are three different layers that we can recognize in schools as organizations. The micro layer, where teaching, learning, and assessment practice is happening. This is in the classroom, but also outside the classroom. And schools and students are mainly involved in this part, generating lots of data, as I will say afterwards. And we have the meso level, the meso layer, where organizational development processes are taking place, decisions are taking place, and all these are happening within a macro level, including the policies, the legislation, etc., which are also very influential, as people in this school, for example, can tell. It's much more difficult to operate in this part of the world, the private school, than what would have been in other parts of the world. So, school system agents, the players that I have identified, they operate in all these two different layers, the micro and the meso, constantly producing educational data. These data are completely ignored. No one is really put their hands on this data. And they are repeatedly generating feedback loops to the different agents and to the system on the whole. So things happen and they affect the things that will happen next. But that is actually happening in a not very organized manner, in a more arbitrary manner. So these feedback loops and the collective behaviors of the agents within the system of the school result in what we call in system theory the status of the system process, which is the emergence, okay, how things develop. So the status of the school system at any point is not just a linear sum of the different constitutional parts that are there, but it's actually the synthesis of a complex interaction between the characteristics and the interplay of the different players and agents within the system, the teachers, the leaders, the administrators, and all these things that I mentioned before. That leads us to theories related with school complexity leadership. And there the point is that, to make it simple, that credible and efficient strategic planning cannot be just the decision of a single agent, the headmaster, for example, but it has to be the result of actions and interactions of all key players. And that's what modern theories are actually putting forward when it comes to school leadership. So the school leaders and school teachers can really benefit from an holistic, and you mentioned that, but also smart, data-driven decision support mechanisms that they can base themselves on the collection, the analysis, and the interpretation of institution-wide educational data, otherwise typically hidden within black boxes. I mean, if you are part of the leadership of a school, how much do you know of the things that are actually happening in a certain classroom, or day in and day out? So, for us, I'm an engineer, the challenge is how we can build systems and frameworks to support all this. And why we need to have such systems. I think that effective school complexity, and by effective I mean reflective and transparent leadership decisions, they need to be driven by evidences and by the process of rich educational data, which are generated at both layers, the micro and the meso layer, monitor systems emerge state, and they generate meaningful feedback loops towards achieving improvements. So a wide range of educational data, they need to be collected from an institution-wide perspective. And these educational data are continuously generated, so they need to be collected in a timely manner in order to be able to meaningfully support leadership decisions, and they also need to be intelligently processed and visualized so as to be able to monitor the current state of the school and then identify and recommend meaningful feedback loops, corrective actions. So performing these tasks manually without the support of technology and at the same time transparently and collectively by the school leaders, and by school leaders we don't mean just the headmaster, but the team of people who are actually leading, representing all the agents, I think that is beyond any realistic expectation. So, today, there are quite a few, actually, school leadership decision support systems, which ideally, in the market, you can buy them. Ideally, they aim to harvest, analyze, and visualize diverse educational data in a timely manner for producing what we call actionable insights for school leadership, insights for taking actions. We have reviewed with Stelios Sergis, who is my PhD student and is sitting over there with a nice long hair, 70 existing school leadership decision support systems. And we figure out that the majority of current systems like that, basically they focus on assisting school leadership mainly related with externally mandated accountable requirements, for example, the summative assessment score data, the retention rates, and things like that. Also, the typical business managerial tasks like the management of finances and infrastructure are captured in isolation of other educational tasks. And finally, there is very limited focus on the micro level of educational data. None of them is actually collecting data of what is actually happening in the classroom and use this for providing this as a feedback loop to the decisions that the leadership is taking at school level. So what's wrong with these systems? They don't accommodate the full spectrum of the core school complexity leadership tasks. They do not explicitly consider the relation between the different data that are collected at different levels. And eventually, they don't exploit current trends in research on teaching and learning analytics. So mainly, in my view, they are management, but not leadership tools. Now, how can we actually start thinking about solutions and improving this? I think that this calls for what I call school analytics agenda. And probably you've heard this word about analytics. Analytics have been quite popular nowadays in international literature, but also in business and education. In education, we have two main core strands on analytics. The one is the academic analytics. They are mainly addressing higher education institutions, and they support the meso layer that I identified before, so the management of the infrastructure, the finances, the faculty data, and also who is dropping out the courses and things like that. And we have also the learning analytics, which is getting very big nowadays in our field, research-wise, but also in terms of businesses and building tools and market. And the learning analytics are more related with identifying what is actually happening at the micro layer, profiling students, providing feedback to teachers and to students related to their performance and all these things. However, I think that there are certain limitations in both analytics frameworks. For the academic analytics, I think the main limitation is that they're lacking any combination towards capturing the interrelationship between all these things. They don't see the complexity of things. They just isolate a few events and they actually focus on that. The learning analytics, I think they are far too much focusing on students, but they ignore what is actually happening around them. So they make the assumption that if we know more about one student, that's enough, but it's not. because this student is working not in isolation. He has a certain teacher, he has a certain book, he has a certain classroom that he fits in. So all this contextual information affects him on his performance. And this is actually missing. I mean, we pay too much attention to what the student is doing, but we completely ignore the competencies of his teachers, the profile of his teachers, the profile of the curriculum that he is in, the type of exams that are imposed to him. And I think that you can appreciate that being in a sort of department that cares about, specific learning needs of students. So I think that both, and eventually I think that both at the end of the day, they are missing the holistic view. They just treat data here and there sporadically, but not in an holistic view. So we think that, and this is the agenda that I'm working at, we need to have a system and a framework like this one that we can collect and combine data from the different layers. We can analyze this data and process them in order to be able to understand the status, the emergency status of the school as a system at a given moment, and then produce feedback loops both at the meso layer but also at the micro layer for corrective actions and improvements. And that's the framework, the general framework that I'm working at. And based on this framework, I'm building different research activities, PhD theses, postdoc projects, and probably some works that I will continue doing here in Europe with colleagues from European consortia and universities. And the idea is that I'm interested in building systems who can support school leadership analytics, that they can collect, analyze, and process granulated educational data from all the organization layers that I've mentioned, mainly opening up classroom as a black box, so define the emergence status of a school, then identify the causal links between the different inputs and outputs, and finally generate evidence-based recommendation for holistic school improvement based on the analysis of these data, which is what we call the recommended feedback loops. These are a list of publications that we have done during the past 2 years with Stelios and Panagiotis, who is traveling to Kalamata because he votes down there. So he couldn't be with us. He will be here on Monday. And this is the research that I will be doing, as I said, from 10 days onward down under in Perth. I will be a research professor of learning technologies with the School of Education at Curtin University. Curtin is actually a nice campus based on Perth. They have campuses in Sydney, Malaysia, Singapore. Now they're opening one in China. It's a highly ranked international university, at the top 2% of the universities in the world, according to the academic ranking of world universities. And School of Education is at building 502. It's a big campus. This is the entrance there. It's a big, actually, program. It's a big school. It has more than 80 faculty members and other staff. It's a fairly big school of education. They offer a number of undergraduate, postgraduate, and higher degrees by research. And also, this is interesting, I would like to highlight this, they host the Science and Mathematics Educational Center, SMEC, which is it has probably one of the largest postgraduate programs in the world online on science and mathematics education with students from all over the world. It's actually quite well known center for excellency on science and mathematics in education. And the city of Perth, which is in Western Australia, and you have a nice picture here, is number 8 best place to live in the world according to Economist's latest global livability rankings. So all in all, it makes a nice place for those who want to do research to consider coming down under with me. And that's my new details for that. And that goes to not only to students, but also to academics who would like to spend their sabbatical there. Okay? So thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you very much. From school analytics and metrics, we are moving to the second, let's say, major component of the system, which are the teachers themselves. So we have the honor to have with us Professor Garoufalakis from University of Patras, working many years in the field, involved in the digital school initiative and many other also European initiatives. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sophocles. Thank you for asking me to come here. It's a pleasure. It would be even better for me if I was a candidate in the elections, because as you know, today is the last day for campaigning, and it would be a great opportunity to speak to many people and decision-making people. There are a lot of talks and speeches around this day. This will not be a campaign talk. There will be no promises, but some facts and how we can deal with them. I think it's this one. This one. The F5 here is okay. Some teachers need more education on skills for simple things. Okay, my talk will be about enhancing teachers' digital skills, and it is not a mistake that the word teacher is highlighted, because we all know that our children are far more educated and skilled digitally than ourselves. Okay, so the problem, as we will see, I hope we will see here, is not that we need to educate the children and the students to be digitally competent, but probably the teachers to be appropriately skilled on how to use and how to effectively exploit digital systems and ICT. Here we can see something that is turning to be very evident these days, that ICT use in education and the development application of digital content and digital systems is not only affecting the learners, but the educational system itself. And Professor Samson showed us this very easily before with his wonderful talk, and very interesting. But also it is affecting the, I would say, the job market. When we introduce ICT in education, we really prepare people for their future work, and not only for their education. So if we start from the bottom, the Millennium Development Goals set by United Nations in 2000 was a set of goals for the 15 years to come until this year. So at the end of this year, there will be some evaluation of what has been achieved out of these goals. And it is interesting that the first, it is 8 goals, 8 general goals. The first one is addressing extreme poverty. We cannot imagine that this would be the first one. The second one is a universal primary education. And so we can understand the significance of this thing. We don't need to tell it again, but it is set also by organizations and people who can decide. There are also goals for equality, women equality in every aspect of society, tackling, confronting with diseases, development, etc. Okay, however, things are not going as well as we would expect in terms for the basic skill, which is the basic infrastructure, we would say, the connectivity of people with the internet. So, in general, more or less there were 400 million people connected in 2000. It has been now about 3.2 billion people by, it's estimated to the end of 2015. But the problem is that there is a very big divide depending on the country. So the developed countries will have an 83% connectivity. Developing countries 41, and the less developed countries only 9.5. So this is really the problem, and this gives us a general perspective of the problem, which is the digital divide. And this is not only, as we know, in an international level, in a global level, but we very well know that this can be in a nation level, a country level, even a small city level and society level. So people who cannot afford to be connected will really suffer from a lack of connectivity to the internet, but also to data, to knowledge, and all this. And this is something that really has driven the has driven many initiatives trying to deal with this. Not an easy problem, as we understand, because it's mostly a social one. And okay, in Europe, in European Union, as we would expect, it's a developed region. We have children becoming active online from the age of 7. A majority of the households, almost 80%, have internet access at home. And if we go to the schools, which is our subject here today, 70% of the teachers recognize the importance of digitally supported methods. However, they are not adequately prepared for the digital evolution. And only 20% of the students are taught by digitally confident teachers. Okay. So the percentage of teachers using information and communication technologies in more than 25 of their courses has not increased since 2006. And there's a lot of reasons, but the first one that we can see here is an important one. The crisis in Europe, and especially in countries like Greece, we in Greece can see this in our everyday work, if it is in a school, high school or university where I teach. More than half the EU countries have reduced their investment in education and training between 2008 and 11. And for me, this is a very serious problem. I don't want to say again the trivial messages, how important is education for the future, etc., etc. And the second one, which is a more general observation again, is it has been estimated that by now 90% of all jobs will need at least basic computer skills. And there is also an estimation that about 900,000 or 1 million jobs are now vacant in Europe related with digital skills. And you can see some other figures here. 49% of EU citizens have no or low computer skills. So a recently launched EU initiative opening up education aims to bridge this skill gap by bringing the digital revolution into education. And the question here is how. In February 2014, the EU ministers responsible for education confirmed this strategy. Okay? And they encouraged the members to exploit the potential of new technologies. Okay? Hopefully with some other measures also. As an example, the schools in Europe are not using films, for example, which is a very rich cultural heritage in our hands, and other audiovisual material to their full potential. And this is only one small thing of what we should really use. The majority of EU countries have online platforms, they have blogs, they have fora or other social networking sites facilitating the sharing of experience and exchange of material between teachers. And one such example is the Learning Resource Exchange for Schools, which offers more than 200,000 open educational resources based on language, subject, source type, and age range. And there are a lot of initiatives, serious initiatives that try to offer tools. As you know, open educational resources consist, it is a term describing material for teaching, learning, or research that are in the public domain. And it can range from textbooks to curricula, syllabi, lecture notes, etc., assignments and everything. And one such important initiative globally are the so-called MOOCs, Massive Open Online Courses. Okay, Europe was not, the European universities were a little late in adopting this as a strategy to offer open courses in many subjects to the students, or to other students, not only to their students. It initiated in the United States, but now, really, in Europe we have over 450 MOOCs, systems with MOOCs, and there is a strong interest in Spain, UK, France, and Germany. There is even an initiative in Greece. I was involved in this in the University of Patras. It's called the Open Courses, which try to make a first step on this. So we have in most of our universities developed open courses, not in a large scale, I have to say. It's a first step, but we expect this to come bigger in the near future. And you can see here some other initiatives in Spain, Spain in cooperation with Latin America, UK, France, and Germany, related mostly with MOOCs. I don't need to say much for Open Discovery Space and the projects and communities in the European Union. There is also a growing number of European schools who are developing one-to-one computing projects That means one device per user, which we will see later in some slides that maybe this is not, and as Dimitris also pointed out, this is not the key indicator for the success of digital content and techniques in the school. However, it is an infrastructure. And you can see here the ranking of the top educational systems in the world. This was, I think it is 2014. And as you can see, there are some differences that we have used to see in the last years. For example, Finland now is 5th. The four first places are occupied by Far East countries, South Korea, Japan, Singapore, and Hong Kong. Then we have Finland, UK, Canada, Netherlands, Ireland, and Poland. And it's very interesting because we know that the digital infrastructure of the Scandinavian countries and the countries that were traditionally in the top of this list is very high and very strong. However, these countries, the South Korea, Japan, Singapore, and Hong Kong, there are some characteristics in their educational system. They prize effort above inherited smartness. They have clear learning outcomes and goalposts and have a strong culture of accountability and engagement among a broad community of stakeholders. This is something that only in the recent year we have tried to deal with in Europe, to engage all stakeholders in the learning process. And this involves the teachers, involves students, involves parents, involves also other stakeholders. The Scandinavian countries, who were traditionally strong performers, are showing signs of losing their edge. Finland, the 2012 leader, has fallen to the 5th place, and Sweden is down from 21st to 24th. And we can see some notable improvements also, including Israel. I would expect this because Israel is very innovative in the last 10 and 20 years in many aspects. Russia and Poland. But maybe some of you have seen a couple of days ago the report from OECD, τον OSA in Greek, which pointed out this at the first some surprising remarks that students who use regularly computers in math lessons score lowest in mathematics than the other students. And also they found similar things for the reading skills. So as you would expect, newspapers and blogs and sites presented this part of the slide. There's always, I would say, an underground disagreement with the use of ICT in the school classroom. It's a general thing. I don't want to connect it with anything. But so when we find these findings, sometimes we don't really read them, because if someone reads this report more carefully, he will see that it stresses out that the wrong use of ICT is the problem. So if you have, for example, in Sweden or in Finland, 30 students in a class, everyone has his PDA or his laptop, and all the time he's working in Facebook or somewhere else, maybe this is distracting him from education, from learning. So what the OECD report says is that, concludes that ICT inclusion must not be the goal but the tool. If we just pack classrooms with computers and data displays, etc., we cannot expect that with a kind of a magic way, this would be a very different classroom and a very better classroom. So we need to support and allow deeper and inquiry-based learning, and new trends of ICT have to be used to assist this approach. So this is interactivity. We have to use these new things. They are here, they are mature, and they can be used. Interactivity, experimentation and simulation for experiments and other things. Social networking tools in which the students are very competitive. Gaming, logging and analytics. And Dimitris pointed out new ways to use them. Because we know some traditional, we all have tried to use this massive data and big data, but really the question is, what is the goal of this for all this analysis? So teachers need to act as agents, not just for the implementation of innovation in classroom, but also in the design of innovation and innovative tools. And they should recognize the constant need for improving their digital skills and an important asset towards this direction. So the thing is we have to use things in an environment and try to connect them with pedagogical methodologies which have themselves to be adapted to this. It is an interactive issue here. So here you can see a way to classify teachers' digital skills, the foundational skills, pedagogy and online resources skills, student learning, knowledge building and making meaning. There are a lot of ways to, of course, to categorize things here. There are also some more UNESCO or UN activities on this. There is the UNESCO ICT Competency Framework, which is this is really interesting initiative. It's a framework that outlines the competences that teachers need to have in order to integrate ICT into their professional practice, and it emphasizes the role of the role that ICT can play in supporting 6 major education focus areas. You can see them here, the 6 horizontal lines, and the 3 steps. So it would be interesting to use this. Some people have studied this and they suggest, they make suggestions on how to teachers could enhance their skills really in an effective way. And this is an educational standard. It's a setting agency, the lead agency of e-learning. So maybe this is an interesting 4 stages development scheme that I found. So we can see here from the lower step, the emerging one, becoming aware of ICT, learn to use ICT for teaching, understand how and when to use ICT, and specialize in the use design of ICT, and the pedagogical use on your right hand side, where you can see that applying productive tools can lead us to enhancing traditional teaching, facilitating blended learning, and creating interactive learning environments. So there are a lot of schemes and a lot of steps and ways to see this, but really the bottom line is that it's not just a matter of technology. And for this, I think that we all here are aware of this. Now, for Greece, representing Computer Technology Institute and Press Diophantus, CTI, we as a technical collaborator of the Ministry of Education, we have developed and we are offering a lot of ICT infrastructure and services, basic and sophisticated ones, and this is what we are trying to do also for the next year. So you will see them in the next slides. I will pass them quite soon. The digital school in Greece. We have interactive textbooks. We have the Photodendro, which is a very interesting project, and the digital learning platform. And you can see Photodendro is the national aggregator of educational material, and it's organized in a way that we believe that it's useful and will be more in the future. And of course, we operate the Greek school network, the backbone connecting all schools in Greece. And we have also participating in a big project for training of teachers to the use and application of ICTs in school. And επιμόρφωση εκπαιδευτικών. Θα τη γνωρίζετε όσοι είστε από Ελλάδα. And also in the last couple of years we have developed and specialized in learning seminars, like one for stopping bullying in schools, which is also a very hot issue and attracting much focus these days, and not only. And also some social networking applications, from web to tools, blogs, wikis, social bookmarks and tags, social media and social networks. And just a couple of words for the DigiSkills project showcase. My team has participated and still participates in a number of projects dealing with learning, e-learning, etc., and many of these with Sophocles and Ellinogermaniki Agogi and some other people that I can see here today. For example, this E-Step project is a project for it's finishing, it's concluding this year. It's a project for bringing together all the stakeholders, giving emphasis to the parents in the learning process. Also, Kriton was a project that ended last year and was doing some learning analytics and some data mining in learning analytics. It was interesting. So the goal of this project, which is also organizing this conference, I would say, is to support teachers of all levels of education to combine information and communication skills with pedagogy, to use ICT skills in the curriculum and in the institutional organization. And the main objectives of the project are to improve school, university, adult learning and teaching practice, and to raise awareness of the educational community on the need for innovative teaching and learning practices, as well as learning to learn skills. So the core of the project is the connection of best practices from various European countries to show their own scenarios of use and methodologies. And there is a platform which it is interesting that it seems that it has been appreciated. It is a social networking platform offering e-learning resources to meet the educational and quality needs of school education, higher education, adult education communities. We have identified a number of best practices to support training scenarios of the project, including different types of educational material, etc. And there is an inventory of material for this. The platform has, for the moment, over 220 registered users, and according to the interim evaluation, 78% of users, not only registered, agreed that the proposed best practices had a significant impact, positive of course, to their professional development. And 82% said they would recommend the platform to their colleagues. So hopefully there will be some good result for this project. And also there's communities of practice. The users have created communities in order to share their practices and resources. And there's a strong community of 1,500 users that developed about 600 educational resources. So this was really a very short and brief description of what is going on regarding CTI in education and some things we are doing with teachers' digital skills. But I think the lessons are very, they are interesting to say the least. So it's not only money, not only infrastructure, it has to be methodology, test, practicing, evaluation. It needs hard work from all of us. So thank you.
Thank you very much. And concerning the use of open educational content, we are looking for some expertise from abroad, from Germany in the specific cases. So we have the pleasure to have here Professor Franz Bogner from University of Bayreuth to discuss with us the use of digital resources in the field of environmental education. So, Franz, welcome.
Thank you. This? Yeah. Let's change this one. Where's your USB ports to the back? It needs to try those. So, good evening. Do you hear me without microphone? Yes? Oh, okay. Okay, the translator also have to hear me. So, I would like to bring you to some examples. Who in the audience is teacher? Half? 2/3? Wonderful. I bring many examples for teachers. So, my name is Franz Bogner. I'm the director of a Center of Science and Math Education. It means we are doing the last 10, 15 years just science and math education and try to find better ways. And I would like to focus today a little bit more on open resources, on e-learning stuff, and show you some empirical data how effective e-learning might be in science education. All of you know this green booklet. It was worth 150 million euro because this was the starting point of European projects, which was worth altogether 150 million euro. Inquiry-based learning, just one slide for this. There are several theories around the 5 E's. You know, you have to engage your students, We have to help them that they are able to explore, to explain, that they elaborate, and then to evaluate the stuff. This is more or less the hidden agenda behind all the projects. I would like to start with our Gene Technology Lab, which is an outreach lab, where during the breaks, you know, when you work at universities, you are privileged. You have about 4 to 5 months off. And during this time, every day a school class is coming with the teachers, and they learn genetics. Then, of course, we use this for professional development, and we use this, of course, for research, and we do a lot of publications to show what you should avoid when you come with a school class to an outreach lab, because kids very often are just overloaded and they don't learn a lot when they do experiments. For example, just to show you an example, it's a video analysis where we tried to convince the kids to interact more effectively and do less observations. Because when you have 30 kids and you encourage them to do experiments, you always have some kids, they prefer to observe, and the other kids prefer to do something. And here I show you, there are two, I think I take this one. There are two different approaches. I don't have the time to tell you the details, but just to show you that this one approach, you have this amount of observers and this amount of interactors. Sorry, it's in German, but doesn't matter. And if you have this kind of approach, you have less observer and much more interactors. And it's very easy. The difference in instruction is about 5 minutes. But as a teacher, you should know what you need to do to guide your kids very well in such an outreach lab. I think we can skip this. And another important thing in our gene technology lab is we use this for training our pre-service teacher. Because becoming a teacher is the most difficult job in the world. And you know why? Because when you go to university, you think it is the easiest job. Because for 12 years you saw somebody entertaining you and you thought it's a very easy job. And when you do your first class, you realize, wow, it's a disaster. That means we use our pre-service teachers, here we are, that they join such a week. On Monday they are pupils. On Wednesday they are already tutors, and on Friday they are independent teacher. And I can tell you it takes a week to become an independent teacher, because there are so many things which you have to take care when you are a teacher student. Here they are teachers, then they are tutors, that means just helping, and then here they are the instructors. This kind of approaches we always call best practices. You know, the world is full of best practices. Here we have the big advantage that we have a lot of empirical data, a lot of studies in scientific journals where we could show what is effective, what is less effective, what should be changed, that instruction is more effective. So when you look to the title was Open Resources, E-Learning Resources. Here we brought in some e-learning units. And who in the audience is biology teacher? Okay, then I have a tough job because I have to explain it a little bit more in detail. But everybody of you knows what is a DNA, and everybody of you knows all the details behind it. Because this is normally the content of 9th graders, 10th graders in European curriculum. So, and it was a long story. Of course, I make it short to 2-3 minutes. We did a lot of empirical analysis. I just want to show you one small piece, which is we asked the students to draw their imagination of DNA. And when there were the beginners, they had this kind of picture. Immediately after the instruction, you immediately see, oh, it's much more sophisticated. And every teacher knows when you ask your students again 6 weeks later, it's, of course, there are some difference again, but it does not drop back to the situation before they started. I have been also a teacher in my early career, and I know 6 weeks is for kids a very long time to remember something. And the time difference between here and here is 7 weeks. That means it's a very easy way to follow the implementation of a lesson with just a draw and a read and write and draw method, which is a method established in our field. Of course, you can make it more quantitatively. Here we just developed a framework of 3 levels. Level 1 is more or less nothing, level 2 is something, and level 4 is the more sophisticated. And you see, kids, of course, know something when they come to school. No kid is a tabula rasa before they come to your classroom. They learn something, and of course they forget something, but they do not drop back to the initial state. And I think this is a very, very interesting message. And here, the background, the lesson is e-learning. That means the kids were in front of, where's my, oh, it's not in. The kids were in front of a screen, and they had to play on the screen how to construct DNA. And then when you have data, you can always say how are the boys doing, how are the girls doing, and how are the low achiever doing, how are the high achiever doing. And here, for example, you see boys are doing better when they have to play with a screen, with a computer. But then when you look carefully, you see after the instruction, with this kind of approach, girls are doing equally. Which means girls learn more when you do this kind of instruction. Of course, we always, when you do research in a classroom, you find wonderful results, then you put it in an article, submit it, and 2 other people are killing it. 2 reviewers. That means if you are able to publish something, which means 2 independent people somewhere in the world said, okay, it's good, let's print it. This is a very important philosophy behind the work of science educators, because just when the analysis is approved and printed, then you could really trust it. In our way to do this kind of approaches, there's something written on. We had many projects together in the last time. When you look to the logo here, we have ODS, you have EASE, you have CRENET. I show you an example of EASE, WISE is just the acronym of Inspiring Science Education. And of course, e-learning is not the solution of the classroom. Science education has to be done as a hands-on education. But of course you have to avoid brain off. That means you have to find ways to engage the students that they learn. And I will just show you some example here. This is everything what you have to take in, what you have to keep in mind when you do science education. You should not overload your kids. You should improve their competencies. You should find ways to construct your knowledge, and so on and so on and so on. And e-learning is an additional way to support the learning approach. Let me show you 3 examples, very short. One is hobos. Hobos has to do with honeybees. Of course, when you teach honeybees in your classroom, which is honeybee online studies, when you teach honeybees, you could do it this way. It means you could take your class, go out, protect them, and then you try to teach them about honeybees. There's a big disadvantage. First of all, honeybees are dangerous. And second of all, honeybees are living in a black box, in beehive. And as soon as you are dealing with online, here for example, you have a beehive stocked with many, many sensors, and you could go online and you could have a look, what are these bees doing? Not just today, you can say, okay, my birthday is, I don't know, 12th May of something. How was the situation on my birthday? That means there's a big archive of data. That means it's available from all over the world, and this is already there for about 20-25 years. And I just want to focus on this one. There are 3 sensors. All of you know, even if you are not biology teacher, insects are individuals which cannot produce a homogeneous temperature. All of you have a heating system, 35 degrees, period. Honeybees, it's not. That's the reason they are knocked out during winter. You cannot hunt butterflies in winter because it's too cold. But here, when you have a look, there are 3 sensors. When you are indoor, in the center of this beehive, you see, wow, it's more or less the same temperature, day and night. That means they are able to produce enough temperature to have the same temperature. Here you see this is more or less on the entrance of the beehive. You see, this was this year in Germany, and mid of May was not a good time because it became cold. This is for every day we have archives. And this you could use in your classroom without having honeybees in your classroom. And of course you can say, okay, how much was the honey production on this specific day? How much is the death rate? Because there is a counting machine. How many bees are flying out? And how many bees return? And you see there's always a loss every day. And then you could do a correlation how much honey is produced. Of course, when you are dealing with honeybees, this is my last slide to the topic of honeybees, it's a difference whether you are an expert or whether you are a novice. The experts, of course, this is in German, sorry, because we have not yet translated it, that for the experts, honeybees are useful, protectionable, necessary, interesting, harmless, not dangerous. When you ask primary school kids, situation is different, because everybody of you in the lifetime had already had at least once an experience with a honeybee, and you remember this, you know? And you immediately see these are primary school kids, secondary schools, and even university students don't differ. There's a difference between the people who are working with these animals and the people who have some, let's call it attitudes or whatever, conceptions. So let's go to a next example where e-learning is really needed. We call it Bayreuth Goes Ecuador, which is a lesson about climate change. And luckily my university has a rainforest station in Ecuador. And the rainforest station, of course, is linked to the World Wide Net. That means we could, this is for 10th graders, we could offer, or we could ask the kids, this is the whole presentation, we don't need this, we can ask the kids, okay, enter the portal of this rainforest station and calculate the temperature over the last 15 years with original data. And then they find out, okay, last 15 years the temperature increase was 0.10 degrees. And you could do all other things, you know, there are geographers working there, ecologists working there, botanists working there, and whatever. That means you could approach whatever you want, and this is not an artificial way to do e-learning, because you cannot do this in the classroom. And you cannot go with your class to the rainforest station in Ecuador. One way takes 2 days. I did it several times. And it's always raining there anyway, you know. That means it's not a good experience for the kids, and it's too expensive. That means you could find some challenges for your kids. These are 10th graders, climate change, the rain amount of rain, and whatever. Or even, you know, the population of butterflies. You know, they're in this forest station, in this rainforest station, there are always ecologists collecting butterflies every day, counting plants every day. That means there are masses of data there. And kids, inquiry-based learning means not teaching them facts. Convince your pupils to become scientists. Think as scientists and act as scientists. Okay, I think I skipped this. With all this data you can easily do nowadays some empirical analysis. I just show you, because you can, normally you sell knowledge in your classroom. But when you are working with screen issues, you always try to intervene with attitudes. And hopefully you convince the kids that they're behaving better than you are doing, environmentally. And there are nowadays ways to measure this. I think this is not the platform to go into these details. But it's possible nowadays. Altogether, these open resources are following, are following these 10 big ideas in science, which is, we have 4 big ideas in biology, 4 or 5 big ideas in physics, and some in chemistry, and of course some subject interaction. Let me close with an experiment where you also see the big advantage of doing e-learning, which is the Eratosthenes experiment. Who had participated in some of the Eratosthenes experiment? Just 1, 2? Where have you been? Every half a year this happens in Greece, all over Europe. Here you can easily see, you know, I think I don't have to tell the details. You just measure the angle of the shadow, for example, on the 20th of March or the 20th of September, which means tomorrow. I would like to show you two results which I published together with Sophocles. It was a nice experience to do this, to bring the pieces together. These are the results of the measurements of Greek schools in Attica. Of course, when you are measuring the shadows at 12 o'clock, your mistake probability is probably a little bit smaller, but here the measurements were between 69 and 74 centimeters. And then, of course, you could calculate the circumference of the Earth. However, if you are linked to the world, and at the same time, there we are, at the same time, pupils in Finland, in Poland, in Serbia, in Greece, and in Egypt are measuring, and the kids are exchanging these results, then you immediately improve your results a lot, because the pupils in Attica had a mistake of 17.6% of probability, which is not bad, by the way. But if you cooperate, you realize, wow, your mistake probability is going down to more or less nothing, 1.3%. Here you see immediately the advantage of doing e-learning, of cooperating. So, now since so many non-biology teachers are in the audience, I try to do an experiment with you, which is pretty easy, because e-learning always means some kind of forecast. Oops, where is it? Where is my artificial? Bill Gates is not working in Greece. It's not working, sorry. That means I wanted to show you the strategies to survive a winter. It's not coming here, I don't know why. To survive a winter, and we have an artificial animal, and we can do forecast whether this animal will survive a winter or not. You know, a big animal, small animal, well-insulated animal, less insulated animal, and you could do a forecast, and then you could prove it. Sorry, it's not working. I have to talk to Bill Gates next time. So, let me conclude. It's not, I don't know what's going on. It worked without connecting, now it's not connected. No, this one, yeah. First. Let me finalize. Many of this, let's call it best practice, for example, were done in the project which is called GreenNet, which will be presented during the next days. And our vision is to have this European tree with many best practice examples covering these 10 big ideas of science, from physics to biology, and make it accessible to everybody in Europe. It's just a language problem. You see, I talk to you in English because my Greek, I learned 5 years of ancient Greek, but I was a good pupil, I forgot a lot. And therefore, it's a language problem, but everything else is manageable nowadays when doing this kind of approach. And here you see the partners in this project. And if you have some question, here is my email, and many of the resources are shown in our website. Thank you very much.
So, the last speaker for the introductory session is Rosa Doran from Portugal. She is leading the Galileo Teacher Training Program, a global initiative that involves numerous teachers from all around the world. So Rosa, thank you very much for being with us. And I think Rosa has a surprise for you at the end.
Thank you, Sophocles, for the introduction, and it's a true privilege to be here. To be very honest, I was here in the previous Eden conference in the same room, and I was completely overwhelmed with everything that I heard here. I was beginning the collaboration with several of the partners, many of them here in the room. And I am a scientist by training. I am an astronomer with expertise in black holes. And somehow I saw myself in the middle of giants in the field of education. And I saw these many presentations where so many important things about education were being said. I saw all the pictures of the kids having fun in classroom, all the beautiful pictures and all the ideas about what is it that we have to do for teachers. And at the same time, my personal experience in classroom with teachers told me a different story. And I wanted to know how to combine things, how to really bring this message of innovation, of what is it that is available to teachers and how teachers can do it. So we started a journey actually before the time I was here with the Galileo Teacher Training Program. And the idea was how to build, support, strengthen all education communities, how to do that effectively. So we wanted to find a recipe to do that. So as you will see in the beginning of my presentation, I have no logos because the problems that a teacher faces cannot be solved by one project alone. There's need for many projects, there is need of sustainability, there is need of someone always there for the teachers in order to help them bridge the divide, because the divide is not only digital. There are many types of divide, and they are sometimes inside a single classroom. So this is what we set ourselves to do. So my institution is a very small institution, and it always amazes me, how is it that I'm here talking to you? It's because somehow we are doing something right. This is a bunch of crazy astronomers and crazy teachers that work like 24 hours a day to support a very large community. These are not everyone. There's a lot of other people in other countries across the world, but these are the ones that collaborate more closely with me, most of them in Portugal. So what is the first ingredient for success? Is that you need to find people who share. So there's lots of projects out there, but if people don't share their results, if people don't share their success stories, if they don't tell you what they are doing right, then it's hopeless. You cannot get there. But even if you find the people who share, even if you find crazy friends, you still need support. So you need to find visionaries with great ideas that will push you forward at a very high speed. We were very lucky to find such visionaries. Here I have the two ones that are most important for the evolution of the life of the programs that we run. And then you have to be careful what you wish for, because every wish comes with a work overload. And believe me, I think that we managed to reach much more than we could ever dream we could, with basically very little amount of money if you count the number of students that we have reached over the globe nowadays. So we learned that where there is a way, a will, there is always a way. But the problem is, what do you do when there is a need? How do you classify a need? How do you understand the different needs across the different places in the world? What is the motivation for our existence? And how do you build the bridges to fill the gaps? What are the gaps? So I bring here a few interesting examples, very recent examples. I tried to register my profession to the finance department, and actually I'm registering a friend as a worker in Portugal. I cannot register her as astronomer. So the lady told me, oh, but you have a similar thing. You can register her as an astrologer. It's official profession in Portugal, astrologer, not astronomer. It's just one example. I open my news browser and I find this news, in Portuguese it's saying, NASA denies that the bloody moon is a presage of the end of the world, is a signal of the end of the world. And I ask myself, how is it possible that this is news? I mean, everybody knows, not everybody, maybe you haven't. Have you seen, any of you have seen a total lunar eclipse? Who has seen a total lunar eclipse? Okay, so did you notice it becomes red, right? In many centuries ago, people used this to win wars because the average person didn't know what that was. We are in the 21st century. Do you really think this is still news? That there's nothing wrong there? But it doesn't stop there. We talk about cosmology. And there's so many cosmological models nowadays, very interesting ones. And there's still people wasting their time saying, aha, after all, Galileo was wrong. Or people using the most common cosmological model in the world, which is bellicentrism. Centrism means my universe, myself. This is also wrong. So what is it that we didn't learn when we were at school? Or things like the end of the world in 2012. You can talk about that. I mean, many students and teachers come ask me, what was the science behind that? You know, I mean, the planets were really aligned. What happened there? And the question is different. The planets are always aligned from our point of view. If they are not, then we have to think we're dying soon. If you don't know about that, come talk to me and I will show you why this is the way it is. So I didn't show it here, but I was in Colombia a couple of weeks ago. And there is a very renowned astronomer, a person who makes a lot of public outreach effort. He's a gigantic person in Colombia, in the region of Bogota. He's amazing, very good. He works for the Planetary of Bogota. His brother is an astrologer. His brother was condecorated by the government for services to the nation, the astrologer, not the astronomer. So it's funny, but at the same time it is not. Something is very wrong there. Or when you talk about, for instance, a notion of distance and scales in the universe, do we really know why it's important to preserve our planet? Why is it important to preserve life on Earth? How big is the universe? I can tell you that most politicians that I met and I asked this question, they haven't got a clue on the size of our planet compared to the rest of the universe. And this is a gigantic problem. If you don't have a sense of belonging, if you don't have a sense of your size, then what is it that you're going to do? So this is what we set ourselves to do, to help teachers get information where it's necessary, and find support to find the true information. So this is just for you to know. Maybe some of you haven't learned that in school, in the very beginning of your educational life, what is the real size of our planet. So here it is for you to see. And actually the size of our sun, so I don't know if I have a laser. So this is, the smaller one is our sun, and this is how our sun is going to be in 4.5 billion years from now, a red giant. And down there you have the red giant, and this is the super red giant. And there are other stars that are much bigger than the sun. So just to tell you, it's one piece of information that I keep bringing to people, and I keep seeing people like, oh. So this shouldn't be the case. I mean, everybody should know this. So how do you bring this to teachers that haven't been trained and haven't had this information before? And how you keep them updated? There are at least 1.8 million science articles per year. What do you do for a science teacher? Imagine a teacher has to read 3 science papers per day, or 4 or 5, and understand them. How would they do that? How do you help teachers be updated? How do you help them upgrade their skills? How do you help teachers share the fascination about the old? How do you introduce the old with new technologies? How do you share respect for scientific accomplishments? This is a very ancient mechanism, the Antikythera. It's so nice, so unique. And still, people look at it, say, very nice, but what is it for? How does it work? So we are losing things like that when we are not sharing this with our teachers. The Eratosthenes experiment. Actually, the next one is on the 23rd. The page is eratosthenes.ea.gr. Go there, enroll yourselves, and make the measurements. It's really very easy. Really very easy, and you can participate in a global experiment where your children will learn how ancient scientists use a very important tool, the brain, to discover new things. How do you help teachers bring the thrill of discovery into classroom? How do you do that? So everybody knows that we are now chasing a comet. There is a spacecraft accompanying a comet while the comet is it's approaching the sun. It's the Rosetta mission. So one thing is, it's in the news, and teachers know about it, but what about it? Why is this important? What to do, how to teach children about it? Or Pluto. Why is Pluto demoted to a dwarf planet? Is it important? Is it not? The new mission, is it bringing anything that is important to us? Why should I care? Why should we spend money exploring this type of science? So the whole thing is, how can we help your students have a sense of wonder and respect for science and the scientific method? So we set ourselves to do that, to empower teachers, to support teachers the best we can, to find ways to help them cross the bridges that they need to cross. And the way to do it is to train teachers that will train teachers, that will train other teachers, that will train other teachers in a very strong and sustainable network that is a global network with over 30,000 registered trained teachers. I say registered because we don't require registration, and I only know this number because of the certificates we issue. There are many teachers out there training other teachers that we are not aware of. Well, you saw today many innovative projects. You saw here that people know the way to go in order to really bring key skills to you and to your students. The problem is that you have a dense curriculum and you are trapped by your educational system. So you look at studies over the web, and what you find is dance curriculum, exam, dance curriculum, exams. So you say, well, it's hopeless, I will never do it. In fact, it's not the case. Even in Portugal, where we have really huge classes, we have a very dense curriculum. We have a Minister of Education who decided to walk backward. Still, we have like over 800 teachers working with us, our institution, bringing innovation to schools. So the way is community building, is providing support to them, helping them address the problem that is common to all teachers all over the world. Kids are losing interest for school, and they are behaving badly because you're obliging them to go to the past without all the fun parts. So it's important to make this shift. You heard several initiatives on how to do it. And our goal, our aim, is to support teachers in actually doing it. You're preparing future generations and you have no idea what you're preparing them for. So what are the skills necessary in 10 years from now? I mean, when I entered school, there was not such a thing as Xerox. Can you imagine now? I have a grandson and he loves iPads. He has 1.5 years, he doesn't really speak, but he can do like that and select what he wants to see. So what will the future be for him? And the teachers that he will find need to prepare him for that future. So this is where the logos come and where we can support you strongly by inviting you to engage in cutting-edge science education programs where we will stretch your patience, we will stretch your knowledge, your skills to the highest level and ask your help to find ways to bring all this innovation to classroom. So this brings us the classroom of the future, the image of the student-centered approach. I adore this image. When I first met Sophocles, he showed me in a presentation this picture and I said, wow, I adore this. I have to work with him. This is amazing. This is what I would like to see in classrooms. We build collaborations. We try not to compete. We try to promote as much collaboration as we can so everybody wins, and we bring the best out there to teachers. And there are some very nice examples, some active programs like GoLab. That is a project that is bringing remote and virtual labs to classroom. So the Beehive is a very good example of a remote lab where your students can do real science by following the scientific method at their own time, at their own pace, and the teacher can even personalize the experience for children with special needs. Actually, everybody has its own particular need. Everything can be adaptable or adoptable by teachers. We have a very strong support page for the teachers, and in Portugal, for instance, our team is traveling across the country providing support and doing implementation runs in schools across the country. It's just an example. I was going to talk about this, but I think the Hobos was a very nice example. We have projects like Open Discovery Space and Inspiring Science Education that is involving thousands of schools in Europe. And again, being involved is not the same as being active. So you have many teachers that are interested in the project. They want to be part of it, but they need support. And this is where the communities come. This is where each country needs to build on their own community in order to support the teachers to enhance their digital skills. This is something that Open Discovery Space is helping us to do by, for instance, assigning badges to the teachers according to their ICT skills and how they are developing, how they are progressing with their digital skills. We are promoting inspirational talks where scientists are coming and talking to the teachers on a hangout online. discussing cutting-edge science, so children and teachers can ask questions live. We are addressing the big ideas of science and asking teachers to collaborate with other discipline areas and using the big ideas as an umbrella for changing the way school is organized. We help them by promoting face-to-face training workshops for the teachers and for the students. We bring them real data for them to analyze, and this is the case from data from the European Space Agency, for Frogs Telescope or Las Cumbres Telescope. There are many facilities out there that are allowing us to use their data, and we are helping, supporting the teachers to use that. We are bringing robotic telescopes to classrooms so that children can observe, for instance, my favorite one, the pillars of creation, sitting in their desks and understanding what is this object, why should they learn about it. We can promote virtual visits to CERN and have scientists at CERN talking to students. We had in Portugal, I think we broke a record of students talking live to scientists at CERN, something like 550 or 600 students at the same time. It was amazing, the effect on the students. It's really something that you can immediately see how they're going to become, their attitude towards science changes immediately. We also followed the Wake Up of Rosetta Live with scientists on board and talking to teachers and students. We promote online training, online support to teachers. We collaborate, for instance, with missions like Kepler that is bringing exoplanets. So I think that, I don't know if I told Sophocles about that. It's very good news. We are going to have data from Kepler telescope, new data that no scientists have looked at in profundity, and we are going to have students in Europe analyzing the data to find new exoplanets, to confirm that existence. This year we have one of the cornerstones of the International Year of Light, the Cosmic Light, and in the framework of this, we are promoting what we call the Cosmic Light EduKit. Many of the resources that are at Inspiring Science Education are part of this Cosmic Light EduKit. I don't have time to talk about it here, but if you'd like to know more, you can ask me. So to finalize, the essence of what we do as the Galileo Teacher Training Program is to try and find support to teachers no matter in the world, where in the world they are. We are working with teachers from Finland, in schools where they have everything, and with teachers in Principe Island, where some schools don't have even electricity. And we are trying to bring equal opportunities to all of them. So this is more or less where our network is. We are all over the world. This is a map that is a voluntary map, so people have to come here and say they want to have a pin here. So now and then we update this map. And now I have the honor to present you something that is very important and that is going to act, hopefully, as a hub for teachers to find further information. So what is the purpose of what I'm going to show next? All these projects, they come and go. It's the way the things are organized in Europe, in the US, and in many other countries. They fund the project has a beginning, a middle, and it dies. We don't want that to happen. We want the teachers who are our live community to keep with us for this project, for the next project, and for the project after that, because the teacher is going to be the same. 10 years from now, all the technology that we are presenting today is going to be obsolete. But teachers are not, hopefully. Well, some will. But we hope to stay in touch. We hope that this community, so we have here, do we have here Inspiring Science Education teachers? Couple. Do we have Go Lab teachers here? Some. Okay, so in the future, all the effort that you put into learning this will be beneficial to the next project. And so for that, we are creating what we call the Inspiring Science, the European Science Education Academy. You can go to esea.gr. No, I go there. It's easy, more easy. So I have internet here, hopefully, and I will show you the website live. No? Now it's coming. So it's esea.ea.gr. I can't read Greek. So hopefully it's going there. No? Seems that we have very poor internet access here. No. Okay. As I'm accustomed to it, I have this slide, just as a backup plan. Am I doing something wrong here? I want to go to esea.ea.gr. Right? It's okay if you're not connected. That's okay. There it comes. Thank you. Okay, so this is the European Science Education Academy, where we want to keep teachers informed about new projects, about training courses, international, national level, hangouts that might be of interest for the diversity of science subjects, where we want to introduce innovative tools, things that we think are good for the teachers, regardless of the color of the project we are making publicity of. So this is an effort to try and create a one-stop shop for teachers to find here an entry door to new training courses. For instance, if you're going to apply for Erasmus Plus, if you want to be trained in another country, you will find here, let's see if it's already updated, you will find in the international courses, scroll here, you will find in the international courses a list, where should I, no. You will find here a list of everything that is being planned, so you can apply to participate in these training courses. These are international ones. So for instance, this one, the deadline is September 21st, if I'm not mistaken. It's a partnership between the European Space Agency and the Galileo Teacher Training Program. You can apply for that. There are other training courses, and we are going to fill this page with information about future training courses that we are going to promote across the globe. The same goes for national training courses, so this is going to be a hub of information for you to follow. So make publicity of it. The more people we have, the more likely that people with interesting things for you will ask us to make publicity of it here. Okay, so before I finish, I would like to show you, we don't have publications and numbers and statistics to show. What I want to show is the live action. So I have pictures of the last 2 years of activities, and I would like to show you how we are doing it and what are the reaction of the teachers when they are in the training with us. Hopefully it will work.
tried to cut these corners, tried to take the easy way. I kept on falling short of something. I could have gave up then, but then again I couldn't have, 'cause I've traveled all this way for something. I take it in, but don't look down. 'Cause I'm on top of the world, eh? I'm on top of the world, eh? Been waiting on this for a while now, paying my dues to the dirt. I've been waiting to smile, eh? Been holding it in for a while, eh? Take it with me if I can. Been dreaming of this since a child. I'm on top of the world. I'm on top of the world, eh? I'm on top of the world, eh? Been waiting on this for a while now, paying my dues to the dirt. I've been waiting to smile, eh? Been holding it in for a while, eh? Take it with me if I can. Been dreaming of this since a child. And I know it's hard when you're falling down, and it's a long way up, and you think around, but get up now, get up, get up now. And I know it's hard when you're falling down, and it's a long way up, and you think around, but get up now, get up, get up now. I'm on top of the world, eh? I'm on top of the world, eh? Been living for a while now, paying my dues to the.
And that's it. But before you leave, thank you. Before you leave, I have a very nice surprise to you. So, but before that, you have to pass a test. How many of you have seen the moon through a telescope? Okay, you failed miserably. So today is your chance. I heard that the telescope is open. The school has an observatory with a very nice telescope that I've never visited before, so today is going to be the first day. And the telescope, the observatory is open, and you will be able to observe the moon, Saturn, and maybe we can persuade the astronomer at service to observe other objects while the night goes on. So thank you. Thank you.
So, I think it was a great end of the beginning, huh? Because we are just starting. I think we have numerous more sessions. Tomorrow, the day belongs to the teachers. The whole day is full of presentation of teachers, workshops, and then award ceremony for all the teachers from the different projects who have implemented their activities in schools. So now we will have the conference dinner upstairs to the restaurant. And as Rosa said, the telescope is open. I think the observation opportunity starts at 8:30, so after half an hour. We need to have dark sky. Huh? So you can join us for the dinner and also for this opportunity. Me and my colleagues will help you to find the way to the telescope to see the moon and Saturn in Jackson as they are tonight. And a small announcement, would you like me to do it? Please register. There is a list for the training sessions in the following days at the registration desk. Okay, thank you.
will bring during the science conference.